Hello, what is up, my weirdos? How you doing? It's Tuesday, and we're here every Tuesday, rain or shine, quarantine or no quarantine. We're here. Let's see. We already have some people in the chat. Forever impressed by all of you. Let's see. We have We got Mark. We got Ange. We got Stacy. We've got Robert. We have Sarah, Larry. Michael. Oh, guys, how's everyone doing? How are we doing? How are we feeling? Um, Today I had work because I am working from home right now. But I do want to give one thing that brought me some joy today that I never do, but I was really glad I did. So Travis and I made dinner, which we had already planned to do. We've been trying to do this thing where we like have one thing to look forward to every day. So every day doesn't feel so much the same, which I feel like is happening kind of a bit, where everything just feels very repetitive. And so we're trying to have like one thing a day we're looking forward to, even if it's small. So ours today was to eat dinner at the table instead of in front of the TV watching Sopranos, which we never do, by the way. We always just eat in front of the TV. That's just how we have been since we lived together, and I was like that before that. And so tonight, instead, we decided to eat at the table, no phones, just with each other. And it was so relaxing and nice and just felt really good. And I was just so happy. Um, so if anyone hasn't eaten at their table in a while, I'd recommend it. I'd recommend it. Um, Also, sorry for the sirens. I can hear them. I don't know if you can hear them, but it's not even a siren. It's actually a car alarm. Shh. Always something. Always something on this street. New York. Okay, it turned off. Thank God. Um, Let us see. Oh, we also have Ben here in the chat. I'm happy you're here. Today, we're talking about Dead Ringers. Wild to be at the very end of our Cronenberg month. We could never have known when Cronenberg month started how wild this month would really get for all of us. But this was one that I was really excited to watch, particularly because of the imagery that I put in the background here of the, red silky doctor's uniforms. I saw that image. I had seen it before, and then they also used it in the Soska Twins Rabid remake that just came out a couple of months ago. So I saw it there as well. And actually, one of you, I can't remember who, and I'm so sorry, one of you told me that that was actually from this movie, and it was like a callback to this particular film. And so I was very excited to watch it. And it's also the most recent of the Cronenberg films that we ended up watching this month, 1988. Um, but yeah, so before we get started, I do want to make sure that I do what I always need to do at the beginning. And now that we're live streaming on Mondays and Tuesdays, I understand if people are like, I'm out of things to say. That's totally fine. But if anyone has anything that they have watched that they would recommend to other people, let us know in the chat. I mentioned this last night, but I finally watched Parasite after the many, many months that I should have already watched it. But I finally watched it and I loved it so much. I loved every second of it. I'm also watching Queer Eye, and I have never seen that show before, but it is bringing me so much joy. I can't even tell you. Like, I'm also someone that typically just watches like dramas or scary things or like more serious types of TV and film. I'm not huge into comedies or like reality TV. And so this show, and I'm watching the Netflix version of it, is bringing me so much joy. I can't even express. Like, I have it all like sort of in the background while I do my work, and it just makes me laugh. It makes me smile. It makes me feel hopeful. So I would recommend that to you guys as well. Hello, Ollie. Glad you're here. Hey, hey. Okay. So let's go ahead and get started about Dead Ringers. I'm ready. I This movie was not a particularly horrific horror movie, and much more of a drama with thrilling moments and some, I will say, like horror esque imagery, perhaps, but definitely not a horror movie. I would not consider it a horror movie. Um, Oh wow. So okay, into the chat for 1 second. First of all, and Wish asked, "Has anyone seen Tiger King? Is it actually worth it?" I have not personally watched it, so I have no idea. I'm really sensitive to like animal cruelty, and I just know that that is a part of the series. I don't have an understanding of how much of the series that is, but I haven't watched it yet. I'm sure at some point I will at least start it, but I have not. But Michael watched Veronica. I don't think I ever announced this like in a stream or anything, but I did do a Veronica um, reaction video with Lee from Horror Pals over on his channel, and that was ugh, siren. Shh. Okay, it's gonna pass. It's gonna pass. It's getting louder. Honestly, so loud. Okay, drama. A little extra drama for you. Yeah, so I did like a reaction video with Lee from Horror Pals on his channel about Veronica, and it was perhaps one of the worst movies I've ever seen. It was pretty shocking. It basically is, it feels like highly stylized porn. It's sort of what it felt like to me. Um, Michael, let me know if you feel differently, but that's sort of how I felt. I've never seen The Following. I've never seen that. But I would be interested in potentially watching it. I do love crime themed things. Yes, Sky Angel watched Satanic Panic, which is excellent. Love it. Okay, so the first thing I want to say about Dead Ringers that I found fascinating is that it's actually based on a true story. Ooh, ah. And it's based on the lives of Stuart and Cyril. Cyril? I don't know. Marcus. They were twins. They lived from 1930 to 1975. They were identical twin gynecologists. So this is like very much, the movie, who practiced together in New York City. And they died together at the age of 45. So I'm literally pulling this up off the Wikipedia page. This is the only bit of research I've done into it. There is, I think, a book about these twins. I think it's literally called Twins. So if you want to know more, I am sure there is more on the internet. But the gist of it is that they were they worked at the New York Hospital and Cornell University, and their deaths are very confusing and strange because basically one seems to have died sometime between July 10th and July 14th of a barbiturate overdose. I would love to know what that means. I don't know. Barbiturate. Do we have a doctor in the house? Does anyone know what that means? I don't. But of some sort of overdose. And then the other brother died sometime after the 14th, between the 14th and the 17th. And they were found like lying together dead, but they died at different times. So, and also the one brother was seen outside of the apartment after the time of the death of the first brother. So it seems like one brother died first, the other one died of a similar overdose, and they died in each other's arms. I must try to remember that if there are sirens, that means something very serious is going on, and I should be respectful of that. But also, it's so loud. Okay. All right, so that is sort of what this is based off of. Stuart and Cyril Marcus died 1975. Okay, so the movie came out in 1988, and it stars Jeremy Irons. He plays both brothers, so it's one of those Lindsay Lohan situations of one actor playing both twins. Obviously directed by Cronenberg, and he also co-wrote the screenplay with Norman Snyder. And oh, I did find the name of the book, by the way. The novel, so actual story happened. Novel is called Twins, and it's by Barry Wood and Jack Geesland. And then movie came out 88. So this one, oh, and let me also pull up the rest of the actors for you. I'm also coming to you live in my pajamas tonight. I took a shower. I feel like I look a little crazy because I did my eyebrows because they looked really sparse. And now I feel like my eyebrows look a little too much. But we're all just doing our best. We're all just doing our best. I'm trying to keep up in the chat, but you guys talk so fast. What are you talking about? Okay, barbiturates are like painkillers. Thank you. Appreciate it. Yes, that is like basically, yeah, that's in the movie. He's definitely addicted to painkillers. Okay. So our main actors, as I've already mentioned, Jeremy Irons. We also have Genevieve Bujold, who plays Claire. And those are sort of the main ones, but we also have Heidi Von Palesk, who plays Carrie, who's Elliot's girlfriend at a certain point in the movie. But yes, those are sort of the main cast. I mean, we're basically dealing with Jeremy Irons throughout most of this film. Okay, so the twins in the movie are named Elliot and Beverly, which is, first of all, kind of fun because Beverly, I think, is traditionally a female name. I'm not exactly sure what that means for the movie, but it's just something to note. And it starts off with them as little boys, and they are dressed exactly the same. They are working on some little experiment in their room, and they're talking sort of about sex, and they actually end up in this very first scene going to up to this little girl who's like sitting on her porch and asking to have sex with her, with both of them, for an experiment. Because, and this is like sort of like right off the bat, something interesting about this movie is like it's a very sexual film. There is a lot of sex, but the sex is also sometimes, it's very clinical and very I don't know, they don't, there, it's extremely sexual, but it doesn't feel like a typical sex scene in some ways. And the way in which the twin brothers look at sex is kind of different. And I think something else to look at in terms of the sexual nature of this movie, before we even jump in to plot, is the fact that they're gynecologists. So one little famous story is that Robert De Niro turned down this movie because he didn't feel comfortable playing a gynecologist, which I think is very kind of funny and strange in my 2020 brain. But maybe in the 1988 brain, I can understand that that was a bit more, I don't want to say taboo, but just like a more taboo occupation in some way. So if you've never had to go to the gynecologist, it's not actually very fun. I don't really, I mean, everyone has, all women have to go because it's really important for our health, but it is like a very vulnerable position to be in. You have to literally like be laying on a bed with your feet up in these like stirrups. And as you see in the movie, they have to like, look inside there and see what's going on and make sure everything's good and healthy. And so in this one, to have two twin brothers that both have decided to be gynecologists for their career, it's just quite interesting. And I always think about that in terms of male gynecologists, to be working in a profession where you are studying organs that you don't actually have, or not organs, but parts of your body that you don't actually have, is interesting. I've also always been very intentional about having female gynecologists and not males, because I feel like I would just be very uncomfortable. So that's already like an interesting thing about this movie, is the way these twins are looking at women from a clinical and yet sexual way. So that's, I don't know. It's a little strange, but it's interesting for sure. Oh, sorry. I just read Jay Donovan. Well, thank you for stopping by. I I appreciate it. That's so sweet. Um, okay. So, these twins. Elliot seems to be more of the confident, he has a little bit more swag to him. He just like seems to really have it together. And Beverly is definitely a little bit more bashful and shy and timid. And so I think the strangest thing about these twins is yes, they share absolutely everything. They are totally identical. No one can tell them apart. And they share everything from their living space to women. So something that they do is Elliot, he will seduce women that are coming into the clinic. He has sex with them. He, has some sort of relationship for a period of time. And basically when he is bored with them or done with them, he passes them off to his brother and assume the women don't know the difference. So that is pretty, fucked up and weird. And it's interesting because they both sort of go along with it in this way. Elliot definitely seems like he enjoys what they are doing. He seems to have a bit more fun with it. Beverly seems to be a bit more like, I don't know, like that seems a little like, why am I doing this? But then he always ends up going along with it. So they pretty much, assuming from the dialogue in the movie, always had sex with the same women, um, and that's quite strange. I don't have a twin, but I'm assuming that's not the norm of twins. Okay, so um, the first big thing that sort of changes the how this movie goes down is they have a famous actress come into the clinic. Her name is Claire. I already said, but she is played by Genevieve Bujold. And she comes in because she's having fertility issues. Excuse me. She can't have a child. She's very sad about that. She wants to have children. And when they check her out and see what's going on, they find out that she has a trifurcated cervix, which I don't know exactly what that means, but it basically means she will not be able to have children. Apparently, she had gone to a bunch of other doctors who basically told her, it's going to be tough, but you can probably do it. And these doctors, Elliot and Beverly, are like, no, it's actually at this point, you're not going to have children. It's impossible. So the first thing that happens is Elliot seduces Claire, as he kind of always does. He has a one night extravaganza with her. And then he urges Beverly to sleep with her. And I think this one happens a little faster. I'm not really sure why. He immediately wants Beverly to go sleep with her. It's almost this thing of like he wants his brother to experience everything he is experiencing. They want to be the same. And that will come up again later when we end up talking about the drug influence in this movie. But these brothers want to be sharing experiences. They want to be doing the same exact things. They don't want to do anything separately. So he gets Beverly to go sleep with her, and he immediately becomes very attached to her. So Beverly and Claire start a more real relationship. They're spending a lot of time together, and Claire has I'll say a more casual addiction to prescription drugs. More casual, still probably not good, but it is not so far affecting her daily life or career. And so then Beverly also starts taking some of these prescription drugs when they're together, and he ends up developing a much worse problem. And then a very dramatic restaurant scene, which also made me laugh because, however many weeks ago that was when I watched The Invisible Man, and I didn't mention it in my review, but the restaurant scene was my favorite scene of any movie I have basically ever seen. It's so freaking crazy. But in this one as well, it's like we have a crazy restaurant scene. Actually, two. So the first one, Claire is meeting with some woman. I can't remember why. But the woman ends up revealing to her that Beverly has a twin brother named Elliot. And she's already started to notice that, like, she was like, sometimes Beverly is different. Like, sometimes he has a slightly different personality. And he's also quite different from the man she met the first night. And so she's already been like a little bit suspicious. But she basically realizes that she has slept with both of them unknowingly. And so she's mad. And she makes Beverly bring Elliot to another restaurant. And she sits down with both of them and she's like, this is disgusting. I've had sex with both of you and you didn't tell me, and that's horrifying. And Elliot is so like casual about it. He's such a jerk about it. Because he clearly doesn't care. Like, he doesn't care about any of these women and their feelings. And throughout the movie, it becomes clear that almost like really neither of them care so much about their patients. They seem to care much more about like they are like the best gynecologist or whatever. They've come up with like new technology and new techniques to make it all better, safer, whatever it is. And so, but what they really like is the fame and the recognition and the women they get to sleep with. And it seems like throughout the movie, they don't actually care very much about the women themselves, which is, a bummer. um, okay. So she gets very upset with them. She pieces out. And she eventually decides to continue her relationship with Beverly because she really does care about him a lot. And that's like, even when they were having that first meeting, that's what she said. She was like, I really care about Beverly and I want to have a relationship with him, but I cannot do that until like I have an understanding of what's going on with these twins, because that's really freaking weird. But she eventually has to go out of town to work on a new film. And when she does, immediately Beverly goes into full-on depression mode. Even as they're saying goodbye, you can like see he is not going to be okay. He's like leaning against the door in his bathrobe, and he wanted to like take her to the airport or whatever, and she's like, no, it'll be a scene. Like, she already knows like it's a very dramatic, both of them together is very dramatic. So he ends up staying behind, and his depression and pill problem definitely go through the roof during this time. He also convinces himself that Claire is cheating on him, which she is not. He calls her hotel room at some point, and her assistant answers, who is a male, and he immediately takes that to mean that she is cheating on him, clearly having no trust in her whatsoever, and really sort of goes off the deep end. Yeah. Okay. So throughout this like haze of drugs and depression, everything he's going through, he starts to have, I don't want to say delusions, sort of delusions, that he believes that a lot of these women that are coming in, he calls them mutant women, and they're having some sort of abnormal genitalia, if you will. And he is very upset by this, and he sort of like turns into like mad scientist mode a little bit. Particularly, I'm sure, because of the drugs and everything. But before that, he was like, him and his brother were researchers, and they did like build a very famous instrument that was used in gynecology. And so like he kind of gets in that mode, but on a lot of drugs, and totally depressed. And so what he ends up doing is he approaches this artist to make these very strange gynecological, nope, that's not it, gynecological, I think that's right. Big words. These strange instruments, which is like a big image from the film, and they all look very scary. One of them looks like a very long, like scary finger. They all look horrifying, and like they should be nowhere near anyone's genitalia. So, and he commissions this artist to do it because he knows no one in the medical community will make them for him. But he gets them made. And then one of the craziest scenes is in the red satin surgery get up. And so it's a woman is about to have some sort of surgery. We don't exactly know what. And he brings out all of these tools, okay? And immediately the other doctors in the room are like, oh, no. What are these? Like, we don't know what these are. We don't know how to use these. And he's like, just hand them to me. I've got this, blah, blah, blah. And so he tries to start. He immediately, like, nicks the woman and she starts bleeding. She's like, under. She's got a gas mask on. And he starts to clearly lose it. And grabs the gas mask from the sleeping woman on the slab about to have surgery and puts it on himself and literally falls on top of her body. It is the most uncomfortable, like disturbing moment because you're like, he has so lost it. Also here in the chat, yes, okay, so in the movie it says triple uterus, but then later in the movie they also talk about the cervix. Wait, is this right? Because when I look up like the yeah, so on the Wikipedia page it says trifurcated cervix, but in the movies they did talk about a triple uterus, and they do talk about like having 3 babies at once, and they're like, no, I don't know. I don't really know what her medical issue was. But that's pretty crazy. Oh, I want to scroll up a little bit in the chat to say Ange Wish said, my wife's OBGYN said she chose it because she wanted to work helping provide life, which is really, really cool, and ideally why someone would go into this kind of work, to help people who have fertility issues, to help women have better health down there so they can reproduce and all those things. But clearly these guys were interested in some other things, especially when you bring drugs into the mix. So basically after that bad hospital surgery incident, they are both kind of kicked out, but they still have their private practice. They're kicked out of this hospital that they practice at, but they still have their own private practice. But their careers are pretty much ruined by this. So, and like even at their private practice, like the secretary like quits because she walks in on Beverly like shooting up something in his arm, and she's like, I am not going to work like this. Like, no one's doing their jobs anymore. This is too crazy. You guys have lost it. And she ends up leaving. So at this point, Elliot tries to sort of take control of Beverly because Beverly is like clearly lost it, and is totally a drug addict now. And so what he does is he locks Beverly inside the clinic. He tries, and he's trying to get him sober. But, and this is another twin thing that I wanted to come back to, somehow Elliot also wants to be a part of Beverly's recovery in the way that he as a twin wants to be experiencing exactly what Beverly is experiencing. So Elliot starts taking pills so that he can sort of be synced up with Beverly, and so they can sort of recover together versus just staying sober and getting Beverly sober, which would make the most sense, but that is not what they do. So, and it's not really going that well, honestly, but eventually Claire comes back from her movie, and Beverly goes to stay with her, and he is, like, recovering. So Beverly actually is recovering, and then he comes back to the clinic and finds that Elliot has now become drugged out and depressed. So they sort of like switched places, which is really wild. And so in this like very sad scene, there's like a very sad scene where they like celebrate their birthday together. They're like eating like a little cake, and it's very sad because Elliot sort of turns into this like small child kind of feeling where he's like asking for ice cream, and he just really wants some ice cream right now. And Beverly's like, we didn't get the ice cream, but they celebrate their birthday. And then something very wild happens. And now we're kind of at the end of the movie. And this is sort of where the only things that sort of feel like more like horror come in. Basically, Elliot volunteers to die. He thinks that they are too connected, and so both of them cannot fully live their lives while the other one lives. Very Harry Potter-esque, if anyone is a Harry Potter fan. But he feels like they both can't live and fully experience their lives. So he feels like one of them has to die. He says in it, separate the Siamese twins. And so Beverly ends up disemboweling Elliot on an examination table using the tools that he had made, those weird tools. And he's dead on the floor. And they're both sort of in a drug state by now, by the way. And then the next morning, Beverly wakes up. He realizes that he's killed Elliot, and um he leaves. Okay, so at this point, he does call Claire, and I think this is sort of to say goodbye, if you will, to like hear her voice one last time or something. And then he goes back inside, and he dies in his brother's arms. And it's either from an overdose or the Wikipedia says from drug withdrawal, but sort of unclear how he dies. But he dies in the arms of his brother. So they did get that sort of moment of the true story about like one brother dying, the other one like going outside one last time, and then coming back in and dying together. Um, and that is sort of the movie. It's pretty freaking wild. Oh, and hello, Randy. Glad you're here, Sir Oleg. Sky Angel said they could have just chosen different continents to live on. I agree. I think anything probably would have been better than what they ended up doing, but that is what it is. Oh, hello, Mimi. Sorry I missed you. I'm scrolling up. Did I miss anyone else? Hello. Um, but it's it's really wild because I've always been sort of fascinated by twins. I was really into the I almost said Blair Witch. What's that movie? Escape to Witch Mountain. I always think there is some sort of like magic connection in twins that like I will just never understand, and I do find it quite fascinating. And in this movie, it's I listened to a short interview with Cronenberg about this film and about the fact that most movies about twins are like either slapstick comedies, like not Freaky Friday. I mean, like Parent Trap or things like that. They're supposed to be sort of funny, and they play tricks on people because they're twins and all these sort of things. Or like Sister Sister. And they always have very distinctive clothing and personality traits so that you can tell them apart really easily. Like one will be like very sloppy and the other well dressed, or one will be really preppy and the other will be really like, grungier or whatever it's going to be, so that like as a viewer, when I look at the screen, I immediately know which is which. And in this movie, they don't really do that. They have the twins. They have similar style. They have you definitely understand that they have different personalities, but they are pretty similar. And so sometimes during scenes, they just feel sort of like normal people. Like it's not a bit. It's not a bit that they're twins. It just they just are twins, if that makes sense. There's not one always wearing jeans and one always wearing a suit. They're just people. And I think that was an interesting approach to take to this, to make them seem more realistic. And that is true. They do, and it's definitely the acting as well. Like, I think Jeremy Irons in this is like undeniably amazing in both of these roles. Like, I was pretty amazed watching just how good he is, and how like how he can go from being so charismatic to like so vulnerable to like all these different things, and making those things different for two different characters. It's just really amazing. So I was very impressed with that. Now that I've talked for a while, it's time for a little gin and tonic. Okay, I'm gonna hop into the chat for a second. Oh, Ben said, did we already mention the dream he has where him and his brother were Siamese twins and Claire bites a chunk off? No, I did not mention that. That is one sort of like, that I would say is probably the most like Cronenberg-esque moment of the movie, where he sort of brings in his body horror moments. Thank you for mentioning that. I totally forgot about it. But that is sort of that moment in the movie for sure. Let's see. And Mimi asked how everyone was holding up. Yeah, let us know in the chat, by the way, how you're all holding up. I feel like I'm sort of like getting used to it now in this way. Like everything, I don't know, like being quarantined, it's so weird, but I feel like I'm now like getting used to it, which I can't tell if it's like a good thing or like a scary thing. I don't know. It's very weird. Okay, Ange said down here, the medical journal I read was saying the three causing so much space being taken up cause severe pain. Are you talking about the three uterus situation? But I'm still not sure. I don't know. And Mimi said that her uterus has turned on her today. And that's just the worst. It's just the worst. Okay. A couple of fun facts I'll give. By the way, if you missed this part, this is based on a true story of Stuart and Cyril Marcus. If you want to look up that, just for anyone that got here late. But a couple of fun facts. One is Jeremy Irons' approach to this character. So he did this thing. He did two things that I thought were interesting. One, he kept. I want to make sure I know which is which. I can't remember which is which, but he kept track of which character he was playing at any given moment by having one of the brothers always keep his weight on the balls of his feet. So it's like you're sort of always leaning forward, which I'm assuming is Beverly. And then Elliot is always weight on the heels, so always sort of leaning back, which I think is like such a smart actor thing because Elliot does feel like much more confident and grounded, and Beverly is a little bit more like unsure. And so I think like that distinction was like a very interesting thing to do. Also, at one point in the production, they had Jeremy was using two separate dressing rooms, one for each character. And eventually he had to shut that down because he going back and forth between those dressing rooms, he was getting so confused and like manic that he just was like, forget it. And eventually just condensed it down to one. But it seems like a good idea, but I can also see how that would not be great. Also, I already mentioned Robert De Niro turning down to play the twins, but someone else that turned it down was William Hurt. He was actually Cronenberg's first choice for the movie, and he's in things such as A History of Violence and Lost in Space. But he ended up turning down just for like a scheduling conflict, not because he has a problem with the material, as De Niro did. Oh, and there's also, this is like so random. One of my favorite pages, which I think I've told you guys before, is on an IMDb for a movie. I love the trivia facts. If you like scroll down, you can like click a thing that has like trivia on it. And I love them. But this is a super random one. But there's another scene where two twins come on. They're twin girls, and it says Law and Order alum Jill Hennessy and twin Jacqueline Hennessy. And I wanted to, because I read this earlier, and I wanted to look up, because I watch a lot of Law and Order, and I was like, I wonder if I'll remember who she is, because I didn't recognize her in the movie. I'm on her IMDb now, but she doesn't look that familiar to me. I was really hoping when I looked it up, I'd be like, oh yeah, it's that girl, but I don't really see it. I don't know. Let me see if there's any other fun stuff. That's most of it, honestly. Yeah, that's most of it. And also along with this being Cronenberg's, I guess, least horror movie up to this point, is it doesn't have all the crazy special effects that he's known for. And so what I think is interesting to look at when you're looking at this movie is also to say like, oh wow, he is such a good director, because I think this movie is really well directed, and the way that especially all like the stylistic choices, along with like the performance he gets out of these actors, I think is really amazing. And so it's a cool thing to look at a movie that doesn't have like the same Cronenberg things he's known for. It doesn't have all the same body horror stuff, and to look at it and be like, wow, this guy can like really do a lot without like the bells and whistles that we're always talking about when we talk about a Cronenberg. We're talking about much more like a straight up drama, and it's still being totally captivating. And to be honest, like, I liked this movie more than some of the others. And once again, similar to The Fly, maybe it's because, like, his later work just becomes a bit more polished and things like that. But I think this was probably my second favorite one to The Fly. Like, for some reason, there was something about this movie that I found quite disturbing, and maybe it is because I am I am a woman, and just the way in which they treat women in this movie, I just was like so I felt so like disturbed by it, and so like I couldn't stop watching it because that's what horror does, and so even though this isn't a horror movie, it like really kept my attention because I just felt like I was like, this is so insane. And I really, really enjoyed it. So I don't know. I found that interesting. So on here, also in the chat, Mimi asked if people had seen Anarchy Parlor. No, I don't know that. I'll have to look that up. I'm not sure what that one is. Also, Tubi, you don't have to get it. It's just a website. Just like, you just have to like Google it. And I don't even know if you have to make an account to watch things. I can't really remember. But it's like the easiest thing. You can also get like if you have like a Roku or something, you can get the app for it. But it's literally just like a website. You don't have to pay for it. You can just make a free account, or I think you don't even need an account. I can't remember. But I'm pretty sure I watched stuff on there before I even made an account, which is wild. Okay, so now that we're at the end of Cronenberg month, for this last little bit of time, and a couple of you are already doing it, but let me know what is your favorite Cronenberg of the month, of the ones we watched, or you can also say if there's one we didn't watch that you really think is your favorite. You can definitely mention that as well. But just as a reminder, the ones we watched were Videodrome, The Brood, Scanners, The Fly, and Dead Ringers. So let me know what was your favorite. I'm honestly trying to decide. I think it is The Fly still. Because I just think that movie is like it's like literally him at the top of his game. I really think it's the most well done one that still has so many horror elements. Yeah, I think that's the best one for me. But I really think Dead Ringers is in second place. For sure. Let's see. Okay. So Ange Wish said The Fly. Cool. Let me see. Ben said he likes The Fly the most. And also, as you guys type, I also never know what the delay is. But as you guys type, we also have to figure out what next month is going to be. I've had a couple of ideas. I thought about doing something that is, or the two ideas I had today were like doing something that's a bit more nature-based, since a lot of us are stuck inside. So doing some sort of like man versus nature month, which then led me to think maybe we should do a werewolves month. Mostly because I realized sometime last year or this year that I haven't seen so many great werewolf movies. That's for some reason an area that I'm very lacking in. So yeah, I thought man versus nature. I thought werewolves, just things that have a lot of nature in them. I don't know. Ooh, Ben said Alien April, which is fun because I love alliteration. I'm gonna scoot you guys closer so I can lean back. Okay, here we go. Let me see. Alien April. It's funny because I think I've said this before. I'm not the biggest fan of sci-fi horror, but I also think it's because that is where like I lack knowledge about. And it's not necessarily that I don't like it. It's just that I haven't seen a ton of it. So that could be interesting. I don't know. Alien April, werewolves, man versus nature. Let me know if you have any other ideas. Let's see down here. Stacy said The Fly, hands down. Ollie says love Scanners. Larry says The Fly. Michael says Videodrome. I love that answer. I really did enjoy Videodrome. I thought that was a really great movie. I've never seen Naked Lunch though. Never read it, never seen it. Let's see. Okay, Stacy likes werewolves. So hard to decide. Maybe I'll put at least those. But also when I was thinking about man versus nature, I was like, what does that actually mean? Like werewolves is easy, like to think of titles, but like Man versus Nature, like what are those titles? I wonder if I can Google that. We're just hanging out now, guys. I bet you if I Google Man versus Nature horror films, I'll find it. Ooh, natural horror films. I wonder if that's things like The Wicker Man. But that's like folk horror. Oh, I see. So this is much more like, okay, birds, like like different animals. So horror movies about oh, these are funny. Okay. So Man versus Nature, I guess, would be like spiders, birds, piranha, sharks, ants, bees, cockroaches, oh, bats, bears, canines. Oh, this is so funny. Felines, primates, just any horror movie where it's a person versus an animal, I guess. That's very funny. We've already done, like, I think we already did shark movies. Yeah, we did shark movies, so we wouldn't do that. But man versus animal is kind of fun. But I'm also interested in werewolves, also interested in aliens. Oh yes. Okay, so let's see. For werewolf movies, let's see. Ben saying Silver Bullet. Mimi said Dog Soldiers. Angela said Blood and Chocolate. Wait, what? Oh. Sorry. Ben asked, "What's the werewolf movie where the dog is the main hero?" I do know what that is. Are you talking about the one that was on Shudder? That was like maybe it was Blood Moon. Hold on. What was that movie? Where the dog keeps like saving them? It was like a 90s one. No, it is not Blood Moon. What is that movie called? Okay, I'm going on to Shudder to see. Because it was one I definitely watched on Shudder. It was from the 90s. Let me see if I can find it. Hold on, it's loading. Oh, it's Bad Moon. That's the one I was thinking of. Yeah, Bad Moon. I don't know if that's the one you're talking about, Ben, but that's the one I was thinking of. I think it's either a golden retriever, or like a German Shepherd or something. I can't really remember. Okay. Yay! Okay. Okay, I don't know if I'm delayed or if you guys heard me say Bad Moon or if you're saying it and then I'm gonna say it. I don't know. Okay, good. I'm glad you we all figured it out. Bad Moon. It was really good, honestly. I was pleasantly surprised with that one because I had never heard anything about it. And I do agree, dogs are heroes. Have you seen Toby today? I don't remember. I can't remember if I showed him. Come here. Come here. Okay, here he is. Say hi to everyone. Hello. I was sleeping and now I is awake. He has been such a perfect angel during this quarantine. I I gotta tell you guys, like having him here has truly saved my mental health. He is such a good boy. He is always near me. Even when I'm working, he like sits on my lap or like sits under my feet. He just wants to be close to his mommy. I love you. He's so tired. It's also funny because like to be home all day and to be like, what does Toby do when I'm not here? It turns out he just sleeps a lot. Like I am shocked by how much this dog sleeps. Literally all day. Literally, he just fell asleep again right now, even though I'm holding him. Yes, Sky Angel just said there's almost no dogs here at the shelters. Same here. Yeah, so many dogs have been adopted and cats, um, throughout this insanity, because people don't want to be alone, and it's so great because dogs really are the perfect companion. And I know some people are cat people, and that's fine too. Okay. I'm gonna put him back in his little blanket hole. There you go. It's so sweet. Okay, guys. All right, so I think what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna think a little bit more, or maybe I'll make some lists of what the werewolf, man versus nature, aliens, what those would sort of look like, and I will announce it sometime this week. Um, it probably won't be till Friday or Sunday's video, honestly, because I'm doing my Q&A video on Wednesday or tomorrow. Oh my god, I gotta film that. But yeah. All right. Um, I think that's about it. I think that's about it. So I will see you guys in tomorrow's video, and then I will let you guys know what Horror Movie Club's gonna be. I'm assuming I'll do a trailer. If I don't know. I can't go outside, so I don't know what it will be. But we can all be creative. That's fine. But thank you all so much for being here, and thank you for also coming to the Monday live streams in lieu of the podcast. I know that you basically can't see us the whole time because I don't know what it is. I guess my internet just can't handle it. So next Monday we're just gonna try putting up like a picture of us and you guys can just listen to the audio, which might be more lame, but it's sort of the only thing I know to do. But we'll keep doing full face live streams for Horror Movie Club. So thank you all so much. I will see you in tomorrow's video, and I hope you have a very nice scream. Once again, as always, stay safe, stay weird, as Ange said, and have a good night. All right, bye guys.